Okay, let's call to order the Finance Committee meeting for Tuesday, October 13th, 2020. And we do have a quorum. Thank you all for coming tonight. So I think, does everyone have a copy of the agenda?
On my phone.
And if you don't, I'll summarize it.
Yeah, it's clean.
The
Very-
November meeting,
Yes.
minutes, new officers, and then go home.
This is a clean slate.
Okay, so why don't we jump into, Jean, can you give us quickly a summary? So we had, I know that you had to do monthly budgets for a while. What would that be, July, August, September? Are you still doing monthlies?
No, once the town meeting was approved, we were able to just go with the town meeting vote. So the only account I'm going to have a problem with until the fall town meeting is BBT.
Yeah.
Because we were allowed to deficit spend that account.
Right.
And town meeting voted not to
Right.
give them a budget or provide a budget. So I'm going to hold off on the November payment until after the November 14th town meeting.
Okay, so did the town run on a monthly budget for July, a month for August, and a month for September?
We had to submit the deficit spend request for September because town meeting wasn't held till September 12th.
And so is that, yes, we did run
So
that
yes,
way in
yes.
September? And so now, October 1, you're budgeting the remainder apportionment of the year?
Well, it almost like it overrides the deficit spend budget.
Okay.
So the budget that we have in place is what was voted on 9/12.
So as a practical matter, our next town meeting is essentially online to be the follow-up that we do year over year anyway?
Correct.
Correct? Okay, all right. Okay, so given that, let's get into Article 1, fiscal year 2021 budget transfer amendments. Jean, can you speak to that?
So, yes, anybody that, at this time of year, I go back to the departments and ask them if there was anything that came to light that was not addressed at the annual town meeting, except the annual town meeting was later. The tree warden expense, we had talked about that when they presented the budget of
Yeah.
increasing that by 50,000 at the fall town meeting. The nurse phone and monthly bill, the nurse never had one, and with COVID, it's put a burden on her as well. So this will be the first time that the nurse has an expense line, and that's so the town pays for the phone itself and the monthly charge. The highway construction maintenance is $7,500. That is for a bucket for the catch basin cleaner. The Board of Health wages minute taker, again, there's a strain on that office because of COVID, and this will just help relieve that a little bit. I think you're probably going to see they put a request for additional hours for another person next fiscal year. Increased civil defense wages, right now, that's a question mark. It's really just a placeholder right now. And increased finance committee expenses, print and mail. That's because we actually have an extra town meeting in this fiscal year.
Okay.
And increased town hall supplies postage. That's mainly due to the ballots. We've had a lot more postage because of we had to mail out the ballots.
Okay.
That's what I have right now. Again, this is a placeholder article.
Jean, can we go back to the increased civil defense wages question marks? And what does that specifically relate to?
That would be related to a stipend, and I would let Matt speak to that. That would be if the stipend was increased at all
Stipend for what?
for the civil defense director.
Oh, okay,
That's by,
okay, all right.
Chief Vincent
Say that, oh, Chief Vincent.
is our current civil defense, yes.
I know that there continues to be, an ongoing discussion, we'll call it, regarding this issue that's developed between the school committee and the Board of Selectmen, or the school board, I should say, the school department and the Board of Selectmen. And without asking Heather to comment on that, I've seen that go across my desk. I think I gave folks a couple of weeks ago an indication that there might be a meeting that I would attend with regard to that and then report on it. And I'll report now that that meeting was canceled. Simply, it's reported to me as that somebody was unable to attend and it was canceled. I've not seen it rescheduled, and I'm going to leave it at that for the moment. So I wasn't sure if that
It is
was
not related
related to
to that.
that whatsoever. Okay. All right. So I would entertain a motion to recommend that the Finance Committee recommends that Article 1 be passed at the special town meeting.
How are we going to
Hold on a
approve that
minute.
without the...
Jean is raising her hand and saying, Howard, it's only been a couple of months. Have you forgotten the process?
I'm going to request that you take your votes at your next meeting. to make sure
Because
there's
you may
no
have other
question marks
items?
there. And I don't think we posted the agenda for votes. I think we just put discussion. I don't think we put possible votes on this one.
Can we approve it even, I mean, with the civil defense wages being question mark?
No, that's what I'm saying. I would wait till we fill it. And this is.
That's all, yeah, I was thinking, isn't it?
So Jean, help me out then. You're suggesting that we either are going to have one more meeting or theoretically even a second further meeting the morning of.
I would recommend that you have at least one more evening meeting prior to us, so that we can take the votes, or however you choose to do that. Because we have to
Okay.
put the recommendations in the flyer.
Okay.
And I think this is still in draft mode. I wanted the finance committee to have the opportunity to review it first,
Okay.
to see where we are, and then have another chance to either call the department heads in if you have any questions.
Okay, so for my purposes, at least my mind, let's start to structure what that date looks like now. Are we talking about theoretically at least Tuesday, October 27th, 2 weeks from tonight, subject to everyone here's schedules, but Jean, would that nonetheless give us the time to back into the dates we'd need to get the flyer out, et cetera, et cetera?
I think you'd have to go the Monday date if you're going that week. I think Suzanne needs the recommendations in by the 27th. I believe that was the email I sent to you.
If you need to see calendar.
Could we do a meeting next week?
We did have
Well-
20th as a question mark a long, long time ago.
Well, I'm feeling like I'd rather have more time to get the flyer in the works.
Right.
Jean, if we needed folks to show up next Tuesday, would that be too short a notice?
I can put the request out. That is the Board of Selectmen night. They are back to their normal schedule. So it would not be able to be, the meeting could not be in this room. We'd have to have it in the community development room.
Which gets a little tighter for my comfort
Exactly.
level.
Exactly, too
Yep,
close to the people.
yep.
Unless you went to the Monday, the 19th.
That's very tight.
We need 21 days, is that it? Between when we do the approvals and then when the
Well,
warrant goes
Suzanne
out?
sets the timeline back in the flyer, so the printer needs time to print.
Right.
We have to submit all the information so they can put it in the printer and then be back in time in order to mail it. That's the timeline that they give us.
So you're looking at Monday, the 26th.
And you would have to be ready to make recommendations, meet with departments and make recommendations that night.
Sure, and then get something to you and Suzanne the next day.
Correct.
Okay. How are folks with Monday, October 26th, 7 PM here or Zoom?
That works.
No issues.
Good, good, okay.
Yeah, I can-
All right, so I think we've got sufficient people that could make that. So Jean, why don't we project toward that date? And then from here, what we'll look at is who we might need
Right.
to appear for that. Okay. All
I
right.
would still request a Zoom link in case
Sure.
Others are not
Yep.
comfortable coming
Yep,
in.
yep, absolutely. Okay, so that suggests then that we're not going to vote on anything tonight?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Well, maybe the minutes.
Huh?
Maybe the minutes.
What are minutes? Yeah, let's go to Article 2, prior year bills. Any discussion on that, folks?
Before we get off Article 1, can I just ask one quick question on the tree warden
Of course,
expense?
I'm sorry, my fault.
I apologize. So the tree warden expense is 50, now I thought maybe I'm misremembering or something. Didn't we put in an extra like 50 or so for the tree warden?
We talked about putting it in at the fall town meeting.
Okay, so it got taken off and then now we're throwing it back in because we're finding that there's a lot of trees that,
It didn't get taken off. There was a base budget put in. This is an additional 50,000 on top of that original budget. So we wanted to wait until we knew the status, and we still don't really know the status of the cherry sheet, the state aid.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, receipts, right?
Right,
Yeah.
so we, because the state said they were gonna level fund it, now we feel comfortable putting that back on for the other 50. And that would be 45,000 for tree cutting, and then 5,000 would be for the disposal of the cuttings, for lack of any other word.
And so these trees that we're removing are trees that we're responsible for and it's not the power companies that are responsible?
That's true. The highway superintendent works closely with the power companies, but we're still responsible for some trees. And I don't know about, you saw trees lately, but I saw a couple that were,
Well, they're coming down by themselves.
Oh, I
you
know.
know,
Problem solved.
Yeah, right, exactly, but that would be
Maybe
the
not.
stars.
Explain that to the people that didn't have
Yeah,
power.
I know.
Okay. Got it, thank you.
Any other questions on Article 1? Okay, so Article 2, any questions? Article 3. What are we looking at there, Jean?
So if you remember Matt's recommendation for the FY '21 budget was to fund the police lieutenant for half the fiscal year. This was a position that was under contract previously, and I think right now they're deciding what the best avenue is, whether or not to add it to the personnel compensation schedule or continue or do a bylaw change with the side MOU. So right now, I believe the conversation is still at the chiefs and the town administration level. I don't know where this is going to stand. I don't know which way it's going to go yet. So
Okay.
this is a placeholder. It will be one of the two,
Okay,
but right now it's in placeholder mode.
we would have proposed language by the 26th.
Correct.
Okay. Why don't we make Matt our first official invitee for our meeting on the 26th?
So this is not really any additional monies, it's just what bucket it goes into or comes out of?
No, the funding for 6 months on lieutenant is in the police department budget. It is whether or not we're going to have a MOU with a bylaw or put the lieutenant on the compensation schedule.
Yeah, the compensation is the question because of the agreements, from what I understood, that they couldn't put them all under union or non-union. They were trying to
It's a
decide.
non-union position.
Yeah, I was gonna
Right.
say, isn't it an exempt position?
Right, but the contracts aren't valid for some reason.
And previously, we've had a contract with the items spelled out in the contract, and right now, there's some discussion as to where it's going to be for the next lieutenant.
If you listen to the selectmen meeting from the other day, it's on there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gene, are trust funds common in town budgets?
Where are you?
He's on the next
On the
one.
pool,
He's going to.
Oh,
you're gonna have-
sorry.
Dick had the question formulated in his mind.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Any other
Didn't know how we're
questions?
related to the lieutenant, I'm just,
A trust fund, yeah.
Okay, so,
Lieutenant has a trust fund,
Oh,
see,
yeah,
this
that's
is how
bad.
rumors stop.
Bad. Nope, just kidding, yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
okay.
so just to clarify then, when we approved the budget, we were saying that we had half a year of salary factored into that,
Correct,
but we didn't have the whole year salary factored into that.
correct.
And we're trying to decide where it's coming from, or how's
Still the
that?
still the half, not where it's coming from, how it'll be categorized.
Yeah, the funding is not the issue.
Okay.
The lieutenant retired in August. Lieutenant Brown retired in August. Matt left the town administrator left the position unfunded for a little period of time and then put the funding in for the second half of the fiscal year. So the funding is in place in the police department budget. The question is, how is this position going to be categorized? When Lieutenant Brown was here, and even when Chief was a lieutenant, there was a contract in place. And that's how we paid Lieutenant based upon the contract. Right now, there's some discussion as to whether that's going to continue that way or if it's going to be part of the compensation chart. So the two placeholders are there, and it's Matt and the town administrator and the chief that are having those discussions.
So I would suggest that we wait until we see the proposed language coming from that direction before we have a
Yeah,
detailed further
I'm
discussion.
just wondering how it is that he wouldn't be considered an exempt salaried person and just be on the fire department payroll.
Police, but it would, again, it's not at my.
Police, sorry.
Yeah, that's
Is that how it's funded now? It's through the police?
Phil, there are two different positions.
Positions, am
here
I
we're talking
losing the
about.
wrong one? Oh, okay, assistant fire
about the
chief and
police
police
lieutenant.
lieutenant, sorry, my bad.
That's what Gene's talking about.
The
We're
fire
not-
chief was funded in the fire chief's budget and put on the compensation schedule at the annual town meeting on September 12th. That was the discussion that was held at that time.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing what you're talking about. Okay. Well, I guess you're right, we'll have to listen.
I think it's just easier when we see a proposed, what they've agreed to propose to us
Mhm.
and then to the town. Article 4, Dick, any questions you have regarding Article 4?
Not now, I don't.
Yes, it is common to have a trust,
Okay.
a OPEB trust. This is the language that was provided to us from Bartholomew, and Brian is willing to come if you need him to come. This is really just housekeeping language that their attorney and we kind of took their language and used it as part of our article. But if you need Bartholomew to come, they'll be happy to come and speak on this article.
I do not, unless someone else does. Okay.
That's a no? No.
It appears so, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Correct. Any questions on Article 5? Any questions on Article 6?
Gene, has free cash been affected much by COVID?
Actually, we ended the year pretty positively. COVID hit in March. By that time, we had our motor vehicle excise already out. Even the account I was concerned about was the meals tax. We still hit our target. I found that the two categories that were negatively affected, and that was a decision of the town's part, is we delayed, well, the state allowed us to delay the collection of the real estate taxes from May to June. So by doing that, you shifted the collection schedule, because instead of sending out demands at a certain point, we did everything that shifted out. So the interest in the demand fees were relatively low, but we did okay on the revenue side. And on the expense side, because we didn't pay out a full 100% of the busing, so you had turnbacks under that category, which we don't typically have. And then there were turnbacks in other departments as well. Because of COVID, you didn't do everything. Even the capital got shifted off a little bit. So I think free cash will be okay, and I submitted my balance sheet last Friday, so hopefully I'll have it certified definitely by the 26th. What you see here is when I look at how the year closed and where things closed from, we try to have these generally routine articles at the fall town meeting. So this $27,000 was due to the savings that we had from the retiree portion of the health insurance. So this closed into free cash. And what I'm recommending is that we take that and we say, okay, we need to fund OPEB. And it was for retiree health insurance, so we're going to transfer this from free cash because it closed from retiree health insurance and switch it to OPEB. So that's why it's a strange number, and just because it's a closed back of that.
So is the free cash historically about where it should be compared to other years? I mean, are we,
Well, I won't say a number,
Yeah.
because it's not certified yet. But
Right.
remember, we did not spend all of last year's free cash.
right,
So it will be higher because as the base number, you have last year's ending balance become the beginning balance. So typically, we spend all of free cash,
Right.
and we just didn't do that.
right,
So it's going to be higher when it's certified because we're, in essence, taking the balance of FY19s and you're adding FY20s to it.
okay, thank you.
Gene, did the easy winter with the snow help free cash at all, or is that something altogether
It
different?
did, because we didn't have to do a transfer at the Springtown meeting.
Right.
Not that we have a Springtown meeting, but we would have had to do an interdepartmental transfer.
Any questions on, looks like 6, I'll ask real quickly again. Anything on 6? Okay, to Article 7, any questions on that? That seems pretty straightforward. Jean?
No, I don't, I'm teasing.
Yeah.
Just looking for support on Article 7, that's all.
Well, I mean, I think you're going to tell us in 13 days that the vote is now certified and it's 12-1 and we've really got to approve it.
Actually, that's what I told you on September 12th as well, you didn't.
I may not recognize you on October 26th to recommend that.
I have a question. Did anyone get a thank you note from Dr. Fitzpatrick?
Be nice. For coming? For,
You know what, because I did not go along with not funding them, remember? I thought
right?
I was the only
Yeah,
one.
you're right. Yes.
Got a thank you note from them. I was just wondering if...
Did you really?
Yeah.
No, then, no? That's interesting.
I didn't
Wow.
get a thinking on, I stood up and supported
You
you.
didn't
I was standing with you, I think, if we,
That's interesting.
because I was
You gotta
kind of like,
think.
it's a non,
Yeah.
it's a non,
You gotta think.
but I didn't get a card.
A little card, what
That's
a little card.
interesting.
Wow,
They have that process.
Let the record
They
stand
have
that I didn't get a
process.
card.
Well, but again, Carol was the only one that voted to approve it.
Yeah.
No, I think I stood to approve it.
Me too?
Oh.
Because of the fact that there was nothing that could be accomplished
Maybe
by
he
it.
doesn't know who you are.
He looks at it as the committee
Yeah.
rather than the voters, where they look at it.
Yeah, but
is
he's
way
on the
we should
committee, but
reference
he
it.
may not have known who he
Right.
was.
I am on the committee.
He knows who I
Here I
am.
am.
But you're new, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
unknown.
8, Article 8.
With these masks, no one will know me
I
for
know.
sure. I'm the masked
Gene, what do
FinCom.
you have here for, you've got a placeholder, transfer total out just because you've got the line at the end,
Yes, well,
or lines?
the capital committee will be meeting, tomorrow's Wednesday, tomorrow, and they'll be voting their recommendations. Right now, they have 2 projects that they're looking to put forward, and they have not taken a vote yet.
Okay,
That would be the public safety and highway department's radio system and associated expense, as well as the senior center flooring replacement and associated costs. So both of those projects were voted previously. However, when the senior center looked at the flooring and they peeled back the carpet, they found asbestos. So they have to, abate that, and we will have to fund some part of that. The safety and the public safety radio system, that was also a previous recommendation, and I believe that was $173,000. And again, in order to do the system the way they
Am I missing
would
something?
like to, there'll be additional funds needed for that as well. So
Yeah.
neither project has
Okay,
been
so that's what I'm
started,
missing.
and I'm just looking for supplemental funds to
Okay.
help move those along.
Gina, might be useful to have a person from the capital committee here on the 26th to address those questions.
Do you know what the $4,900 was for the historical commission?
Yes.
You do?
Do I what?
You know what it is?
Oh, my word. That was, they came, and Pam Holmes was here at the time, and it was at a special town meeting, they had to have this money.
Okay.
And it's been on the books forever, I'm closing it down.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's since 2009, right?
Yeah, I've given them every opportunity.
Okay.
So the funding sources there, those are the projects that we've completed. So what happens is I keep the projects open until we have another capital article. So those are the projects that have been completed, that are available, the balance is available to transfer for the use of the radios and the senior center flooring.
Okay.
So these amounts here are the amounts you're transferring?
Correct.
Okay.
You're looking at the LED, the town account.
Yes.
Voting is, yes.
So like,
this is extra money that was over what we spent?
Not
It's the
extra,
remaining.
it was the balance of
Balance.
the,
The
You've
remaining.
trained me, Gene. I know the answer.
it was the balance of the project, yes.
Oh.
okay.
that's
But I
good
can
news.
have it to reduce student fees, right?
Not when you hear about the radio system.
Right, right. Okay, how about, any questions there? Or is that something we can table until we get a capital, their final numbers and what they've sought approval on, and we get a person in front of us in 13 days? Everybody okay with that? We'll table it for now. How about to Article 9? The Cedar Street taking.
That was actually an article that was passed over at the annual town meeting.
Any developments on that kind of off camera, Gene, in terms of,
I will not speak on the remainder of the warrant because it's out of my
Okay.
purview.
Okay. Are these things that we maybe should have Bill here
Yes,
on the 13th?
I think that would be a great idea.
Okay. So, folks, Article 9, Article 10, Article 11, 12, 13, 14. Again, this is a much shorter town meeting event than the annual town meeting. And it strikes me that we might be able to table the discussion on those until we have Bill with us, if he's available on the 26th. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, it does.
And Bill's given us the outline dated yesterday on some items, and we can address those as well when we see him.
Okay.
Right, the flip that, Gene, did that come from you, from him earlier today? Suzanne? Right, okay.
Who's gonna know the stuff about the Commission on Disabilities?
I believe Matt would be able to address that.
Okay.
The Waterways Dive Rescue Team, are you going to want something for that? The money is put into a receipt reserve for appropriation account from the boat excise. So half of the money from the boat excise and boat penalties are transferred into another account called the Waterways Receipt Reserve for Appropriation. It is town meeting that has to move it from that receipt reserve for appropriation to the Waterways Dive Rescue account in order for them to access it and spend it. They typically use it for any equipment relating to dive rescue. I imagine this is going to be less than 10,000. It's a routine article that you see every couple of years. My question is whether or not you would want some in here, or do you think that's routine enough where you don't need anybody?
If it's under 10,000, for me at least, I would not feel I needed someone. Anyone?
Agreed.
You guys said it's a routine and customary, and that's what happens every couple of years?
They wait till the funds build up and then they do a transfer and they use it for supplies.
And this is for the lake and,
The dive rescue team, yes.
By the time they dive in, they're not rescuing.
Well,
Sad thing to say. And we got three good sized
so many
ponds in town.
wise ass answers I have tonight.
Oh, yeah, we have a lot of water.
okay, any other questions for the moment on the special town meeting proposed warrant draft?
No, but I do have a question on Bill Cundiff. What is this? Like, Bill Cundiff's email?
I have no idea. That's what
Does-
we're,
I can give you kind of just a little bit.
That would be great.
Not much.
Okay.
Trust me. Like, the federal government is basically watching where all water goes.
Okay.
So we have to, they have to,
Oh.
all the catch basins. I bet you could tell me more about that than I could.
Yeah, it's stormwater pollution prevention.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, they have to mark out, I guess, where all the catch basins are and all kind of different stuff like that, I guess.
So it says year 3, so we've already done this for 2 years?
I guess so.
So the regulation changed recently, so they had to reauthorize it,
It is- I
if
don't
I'm not mistaken, so.
Could be.
I'm not a stormwater specialist, but
Yeah.
I do a few plans for small companies, and it's reauthorized, so you have to go in and reassess some of the engineering and what you've done and best management practice like they're talking about.
Okay.
I can't really speak to the cost and to understand, without knowing the details of the work they're doing. I saw kind of what they said, but $35,000 was the price. and
Yes.
I guess if that's what they agreed upon, then,
And then where does that show up in all of this?
that's a question, it's an added expense, right?
Sorry.
It's an added expense, the 35?
The 35,000 that Bill was talking, where does that show up?
That is a special article, so it would be added to the.
So there will be another article addressing this?
Well, that is the article.
Okay,
So it's not in a specific budget. It's
Okay.
its own line that we add to.
Okay.
So it's what we call a special article or a standalone. So it's strictly for that purpose. Versus if we would put in Bill's budget, then he could reuse it for anything within the community development account.
okay.
So
And so this was not planned for or foreseen?
it is, but it's done as a special article basis, not in a budget basis, because it's a project. It's not an operating.
So where do you get the funds for it?
This is a raise and appropriate.
Okay,
Say that part again, a raise and appropriate?
Yeah, so up until we set the tax rate, we can raise and appropriate, which means it comes from our general revenue. So the categories are, when they're grouped together, state aid, tax, local receipts, and transfers. So the way the article's written, it is a raise and appropriate article.
I'm sorry, Gene, is it already an article in what we've got in front of us?
It is Article 12.
Article 12.
Oh, but that's 45.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
Ah,
All right.
So again, something for Bill to address when we
Yeah.
see him.
okay. Thank you.
And is that 45.5 number a number that's going to stay in there, or could it be changed before we see everybody on the 26th?
This is typed in, no question marks, so I would expect it to stay
Okay,
in that.
so he can give us an understanding of why one number here and a different number in what he sent us.
And what was the number, I printed that out, I think I left it on my desk.
So 45.5 is in the article, and 35 is the,
The 35 was for the consulting services that they were talking about.
Okay.
Is that inclusive of the 45.5, or is it in addition to?
I would have thought it was inclusive. I'm thinking I'll ask for clarification on
let's,
from Bill.
again, Bill's the guy, answer that.
They go above it, I do know that, it's an estimate, so even though they have the quote
Right,
there, so
right.
if they have their, change orders or scope changes,
Sure.
they don't have to come back to town meeting, so.
Okay.
Any other questions on the articles or on Bill's letter? Okay, how about if we go to the meeting minutes? We'll look at the meeting minutes for August 11th.
I have a question. Gene, in the first page of August 11, they make references to building permits. And they're just curious, how we doing currently on building permits? Is there still a lot going on? Is it kind of plateaued? What's
Building is still very busy.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a reminder, we do have a new minute taker, so if you can state your name when you make a motion
Okay,
and second.
you know if the auction has happened yet on that property that they were selling? No, you don't know, or it has not happened?
I know, I don't have any information, okay.
I make a motion to accept the Minutes of August 11?
That's Sandy making a motion.
Oh, yes, sorry, Sandy
Okay,
Kuipers.
that's okay. Sure,
Oh.
yeah.
I'll second it.
I recognize Phil.
So Landry seconded it?
All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes for August 11th, 2020, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? None? Okay.
Maybe we should do a little round to tell us all who's here together.
By the way,
We do
Gene,
that, don't we, Carol?
thank you very much for getting those to us. Like, we got them like a week or two ago. So I don't know if they've changed a little or whatnot, but
No, I think we're,
if it's exactly the same and stuff, but thank you very much for the kind of like early send.
Yeah, and getting the.
Very much appreciated.
Who's-
Yeah, that was kind of good.
Who's our new minute taker? What's his or her name?
Ashley. And Mary's last meeting was town meeting.
Okay. Well, Ashley, wherever you are.
Why don't we, I like Carol's idea, why don't we quickly just go around the room? We haven't done that in a while, we don't have any guests in front of us, but let's do that nonetheless. Carol?
I'm Carol Dogolinsky, Finance Committee.
Howard D'Amico, Chair, Finance Committee.
Sandy Kuipers, Finance Committee.
Dick Vandenberg, Finance.
Lynn Mazzulli, Finance Committee.
Phil Landry, Finance Committee?
Heather Moore and Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you all. Okay. And let's take a look at the September 12th meeting minutes.
Is there an extra copy of those? Those I
Oh,
don't have.
sure, yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else need a copy? Okay.
And I was late for this, so I'm going to abstain.
Can I see? Which one are you reading? Same one are we on, right? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I just have it on. Okay.
Is this your copy?
No, okay.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Well, I'll move to accept those minutes, Howard. September 12th, Dick Vandenberg speaking.
Okay, and a second anywhere?
I'll second Lynn Mazzulli.
Okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, unanimous, okay.
See
Those
that?
are approved.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jean.
So we've got another meeting on October 26th at 7. We'll send out an agenda on that. And Jean, I think we've asked to have at least Matt and Bill and somebody from the Capital Committee, correct? Okay.
We'll send that invite out.
Before we talk about officers, any other business? Okay. Okay, so I do think it's a good time to talk about officers for next year. Anybody, so who's Carol
Yes.
next in seniority?
Carol's old and not doing it.
Dick, are you next in seniority?
I don't think so. But you don't want
Not
to do it
it.
again, Howard?
I feel like my house, right?
Not it.
I'm
Not
on
it.
school committee,
Lynn?
so it's a conflict.
No way.
Howard, are you up
Yeah.
to doing chair again or not?
Sandy?
No, are you up to doing chair?
If nobody who's got 2, 3, 4 years of time in wants it at the moment, Phil, what are you, 1 year in?
Yeah, I'm a newbie.
This
Okay.
is only my second year,
All right.
so.
So
Howard, you're so enjoyable to have as
Exactly.
chairman. Like,
Howard, you're the lawyer.
I don't really know
as
that we
long as
would.
Jean will be my backup team, and it's been okay. Have we been okay so far with our interaction?
We're okay.
All right, and Amanda,
And Amanda.
right? We need Amanda,
I
right?
did call Amanda.
Right.
Can I ask, are we done, is Mike Cutnack out?
No, that hasn't come up yet tonight, Lynn.
You can ask that, though. It's legal.
We haven't seen him in.
And
Technically, he's not in, right? By
He's not.
bylaws.
No, I think he would have to be, yeah, so let's,
By the regulations, it's three.
I would
absences.
suggest that it's a little secret that was not told to me, that there is a little more work behind the scenes for the chair,
Right.
which apparently the audits knew.
Yeah.
But, the second year's theoretically going to be smoother, theoretically, no promises. But the vice chair, I think, is something I would like to open up to somebody, Dick or Sandy, Dick, who's been around for a while on the committee.
I'm okay with that if the group is okay with it.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that we have nominations for vice chair.
I
Anyone
nominate Bill. Dick, I'm sorry.
I nominate Dick, too.
Nominee. Yeah.
But because
Yeah?
you
Are we
asked-
doing Howard by acclamation for chair?
No, we'll come, I think we'll do vice first officially and then go to chair. So Lynn's nomination of Dick
Dick.
for vice chair. Any second?
Second.
Heather is the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So technically, I should be taking over the meeting to take nominations for the chair position.
Okay.
So technically,
Technically, we're ready for you.
Okay.
Yes.
So
so moved.
I would open this up to take nominations for the chair position,
I nominate
Nominate
Howard.
Howard.
and I have you say your name in a second.
Dick,
I second Lynn Mazzulli.
I made the motion, Dick Vandenberg.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Sounds like unanimous. I turn the meeting back over to you.
okay, so we'll do immediately. That's effective immediately. Dick is the vice chair. I don't suspect Mike will be patently offended by that vote. And I'll retain the position as chair for the next year. So, thank you. Thank you. All right, and I lobbied well. I ran, I
did
thought, a
great.
clean campaign.
And you don't have a fly on your phone.
Well, I wouldn't know either, to be honest.
It would blend right in. It's fine.
So let's plan the next meeting for October 26th at 7. I will entertain one more motion.
Make a,
Motion to adjourn.
yes.
Oh, look at that.
Whoop,
We've
whoop.
got like 9 minutes, Chief.
You did well.
Second, so who made the motion?
Lynn made the motion,
Lynn?
I'll second.
And
Sandy
Sandra
Kuipers.
seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we're adjourned. So I appreciate